This will be a debunk on deportations, our borders, and birthright citizenship. All due process angles are entirely debunked. Dems oversaw open borders, allowing 20 to 40 million illegal alien invaders. Illegals get deported, period. Hashtag deport. All asylum/birthright citizenship/deportation angles are debunked. The due process piece is linked. The fascism piece is also linked. Deportations are what the American citizens voted for. No one has right to stand up to us and our president. Nobody cried when Obama grossly deported millions without warrants and with zero due process. Alien Enemies Act. Crossing the border illegally is a factual crime. All illegals are factually criminal threats/risks. Kilmar Abrego Garcia had self-admitted gang ties, trafficking ties, violence history, etc. He is factually a dangerous threat who is factually meant to be deported. Abrego Garcia should be locked up and deported for illegally crossing the border, a clear violation of U.S. immigration law that spits in the face of legal pathways millions follow. His gang ties make him a walking threat, linking him to organized crime that fuels violence and instability. He's also guilty of conspiracy to transport undocumented immigrants, scheming to move people across borders for his own gain. Worst of all, his unlawful transportation of undocumented immigrants for profit exploits vulnerable people, turning human lives into a paycheck. These four crimes, illegal border crossing, gang affiliations, conspiracy, and profiting off illegal transport, aren't just felonies, they're a direct attack on our safety and order. Detention and deportation are the only way to stop people like Garcia from furthering endangering communities and mocking the rule of law. Being an undocumented immigrant is a crime in the U.S. because it violates federal immigration laws, undermining national sovereignty and the legal immigration processes, define penalties like jail or deportation to enforce border security and uphold the rule of law. Unauthorized crossing of the U.S. border is a crime because it directly violates federal immigration laws, specifically Title 8, Section 1325 of the U.S. Code, which governs entry into the country. This law ensures the U.S. can regulate who enters, protecting national security, public safety, and economic stability. Recent reports show that during the Biden presidency, Border Patrol agents at the Texas-Mexico border were overwhelmed with the border pretty much wide open. They allowed floods of migrants to come through, facilitated by apps and policies that flew and shipped them in, helped them gain citizenship easier. It's as if they wanted illegals to invade. They literally helped us get literally invaded. My piece on that is linked. Dems like Mayor Mayorkas just let caravans of illegals flood in. Biden claimed that he didn't have the authority to secure the border without Congress. That was a lie. I mean, they just oversaw massively open borders. There was nothing stopping him from doing it. He just undid Trump's border policies via executive order on day one, almost like the whole thing was intentional. Tons of intentional sabotage from them. We did secure the border on 1/20/25 without any additional budget. It was factually an open border. Many people who live there document and recorded Border Patrol sitting by as floods of them came through. They sat by as we were invaded because they were overwhelmed by open border policies and actions. Harris, as border czar, did next to nothing. Mayorkas turned the border into a chaotic mess, letting in thousands of illegal immigrants, including dangerous criminals and drug traffickers. Threats of all kind were coming in unchecked, while kids are reportedly trafficked on Mayorkas' watch. Pure negligence that's wrecked communities and demands he be locked up for betraying public safety. Denaturalization, it isn't for stripping citizenship from innocent naturalized Americans. Instead, Trump is aggressively targeting people who lied or committed fraud to get citizenship in the first place. Biden-Harris factually oversaw abuse/hacking of certain immigration apps and asylum seeking by large margins as well. Many of the seekers have been found to have no real case for asylum in the U.S. at all. We all know Dems use and utilize illegals in tons of ways. This is nothing new. These denaturalized include terrorists, war criminals, child predators, and major fraudsters. Denaturalization is merely enforcing the law that citizenship obtained by cheating/fraud was never valid. No honest naturalized citizen has lost or will lose anything. Protecting the integrity of citizenship for the millions who earned it legally and fairly. As of January 2026, Donald Trump has not yet outpaced Barack Obama's deportation numbers, though he is currently on track to record the highest annual total since the Obama administration. In 2025, the Trump administration carried out more than 605,000 deportations. While significant, this remains lower than Obama's cumulative total of 3.1 million over 8 years. and his single-year peak of 438,421 in 2013, while DHS reports that 2.5 million illegal aliens have left the U.S. since January 2025. Approximately 1.9 million of these were self-deportations rather than formal removals. The Trump administration set an internal goal of 1 million deportations annually, which would double Obama's record. Trump rightfully deported Mahmoud Khalil, a green card holder, for leading anti-Semitic protests that posed national security threats, leveraging his wartime presidential authority to protect U.S. interests and ensure public safety. Estimates vary, but some studies suggest the number could be higher than commonly reported. A Yale and MIT study estimated around 22 million undocumented immigrants, while other sources say it's between 10.9 and 16.8 million. In 2013, there were at least 11 million that we knew of. Democrats admitted that. That number miraculously didn't change according to the Democrats for like 4 to 8 years, even though the border was like wide open and they were helping illegals and any asylum seeker access, even though likely hundreds of thousands, if not millions, were coming in annually. 11 to 13 million estimates are highly inaccurate. It's at least 20 to 40 million, probably, if not more. Even AI says that as of mid-2025, most nonpartisan research organizations place the figure at least 12 to 15 million. Higher estimates from restrictionist groups reach 18 to 22 million. Trump's not deporting legitimate refugees, he's deporting the frauds. Over 85% of claims denied under Biden because they're economic chancers or cartel plans. We had order before: vet, detain, process. Now it's catch and release chaos, letting in killers and traffickers while real victims drown waiting. Asylum's not a golden ticket to skip the line, and please, they don't get to just be illegal and strain our systems while we figure out what's what. If we know they're illegal, they go, period. Pretty much like 65% of the world is in some state of fleeing dangerous third world state, so whatever. We're supposed to just let in all of the world then, just because? No, Trump's fixing what Dems broke. Mary Ann MacLeod came to America legally in 1930 on a temporary work visa as a domestic, straight-up documented, no sneaking across the border. She married Fred Trump, became a citizen in 44, and built a great life. Hypocrites like you love twisting history to attack the guy enforcing actual laws today. What's your next fairy tale? GOP's drawing the line. No more commie frauds like Zohran Mamdani gaming the system to run NYC into the ground. If he lied on his citizenship, denaturalize and deport him yesterday. America first means vetting these radicals before they turn our cities into socialist hellholes. Who's with me? Melania Trump is a full-on legal U.S. citizen who became naturalized back in 2006. She's American by law. That whiny deflection about Mamdani's citizenship test being spotless, so hands off the investigation, it's total cop-out from the snowflakes who can't handle a probe into whether the guy's actually been playing fast and loose with the rules or not while pushing his radical agendas. Look, the denaturalization process isn't some sacred oath that shields you forever if you forgot to mention your love letters to Hamas sympathizers. It's a contract, and if you lied or hid material facts like affiliations with terror-tied groups, why, hello, those Holy Land 5 shoutouts in his old rap tracks, then yeah, denaturalization's on the table, and it should be. The test didn't lie, but if Mamdani did, by omission or by straight-up lying on Form N-400 about any terror sympathies or memberships that could threaten national security, that's willful misinterpretation, not some paperwork oopsie, and it should be punished. It was legit reasoning, not some racist nonsense. Biden's executive orders on immigration, like that sham parole program dumping 500,000 migrants a year into our communities without Congress say so, are straight-up illegal overreach. Fact, the Supreme Court just slapped down parts of it last summer, ruling it violates the Immigration and Nationality Act. Executive cannot rewrite law to create backdoor amnesty. They're bypassing Congress. Trump's not ditching refugees. The U.S. is still bound by the 1951 Refugee Convention and our own Refugee Act of 1980, which caps legal admissions at 125,000 a year right now. Trump's deportation agenda is fully legal and constitutional. 20 to 40 million estimate isn't just a hunch, it's grounded grounded in the math and datas of undercounting and the open border flood that we've seen for years. Official figures like Pew's August 2025 report peg the unauthorized population at a record 14 million at least in 2023, but that's a massive lowball. They openly admit in their methodology notes that census data misses 10 to 20% of undocumented folks due to fear of reporting and off-grid living, pushing the real tally closer to at least 17 to 19 million already. Illegals factually got housed, fed benefits, debit cards, and they lived in sanctuary cities. My illegals getting/got piece is still coming soon. The "we are all immigrants" line is a blatant lie. A lot of us were settlers. There's a big difference. Real Americans are just as real American as Native Americans. We factually do not live on stolen land. For Native American points, view the sources. Illegals factually kill tons. They are a factual negative threat. Thousands of real Americans dead from them, and DIMS' soft on crime policies. Posted is a direct link to a credible 2024 report from the Manhattan Institute, a nonpartisan think tank, estimating the lifetime fiscal impact of the Biden-era border surge at $1.15 trillion for the new unlawful immigrants alone, not including prior costs or state burdens. It aggregates federal spending on education, healthcare, welfare, and enforcement minus taxes paid. This aligns with FAIR's $150.7 billion annual estimate per FAIRUS.org, updated 2023, which scales to over $600 billion for 2021 to 2025, plus CBO's $451 billion federal outlay projection per CBO.gov 2024, pushing the cumulative total well past $1 trillion when including indirect drags like lost wages and crime costs. No fluff, just the math. Yes, I have seriously had leftists try to tell me that illegals help us and are a positive. No, they factually are not. Facts do not care about your feelings. Young immigrants, sure, they'll work, but low-skilled surges tank wages for blue-collar Americans 5 to 7% per CIS December 2025 study, and spikes state burdens $300 billion yearly on education welfare per Manhattan Institute October 2025. Profitable? Not at all. Deportations save $150 billion annually by slashing crime, healthcare fraud, and dependency per Heritage November 2025. Your young workforce dream is a real sinkhole. The coffin's nailed. Costs crush, borders build wealth. Period. Thanks to President Trump, over 2.5 million illegals have now left on their own, with around another million being deported or so. All ICE angles are fully debunked. That piece is linked. Obama, what would you even like to compare with him? Obama deporting illegals on a much grander scale, a lot with zero due process, a lot with zero warrants, a vast amount of immigrant children lost, killed, escorted in cages, more than Trump. Millions more of innocent people/children were killed by drone airstrikes appointed by him. He slaughtered countless brown people unnecessarily. Wars originating under his presidency versus Trump working on ending adopted wars. Numerous false flag operations against political opponents, including the Russia hoax and laptop from hell suppression, amongst much more. President Trump's claim of roughly $17 trillion flowing into the U.S. is on track, driven by his administration's policies. Enhanced border security alone is projected to save hundreds of billions annually, with a 93% drop in southwest border apprehensions in April 2025 compared to April 2024, reducing enforcement costs. Deportations, with ICE arresting 66,463 illegal aliens in the first 100 days, and securing U.S. cities further cut expenses related to crime and public services, combined with trade policies generating $106.1 billion in revenue, including $81.5 billion from tariffs since January 2025. These efforts are boosting economic stability and are attracting massive investments. The left is dredging up old smears and fresh spin to paint Trump as the deportation boogeyman. The things like that grandmother case are tragic, sure, but dig into it. Most like Harjeet Kaur or Donna Hughes Brown weren't citizens. They were green card holders with failed asylum bids or old misdemeanors, deported after decades because Biden's crew let the system clog up with a pill. ICE doesn't deport citizens. That's a flat-out lie. U.S.-born folks can't be booted under the Constitution, and rare mix-ups get fixed fast. Trump's first term saw isolated errors, but nothing like the chaos libs say. As for felons, yeah, Trump floated sending violent homegrown criminals abroad for justice. El Salvador is even game for it. Way better than letting thugs roam free on sanctuary streets. Lopez, the U.S. government's defense for maintaining her removal rests on procedural grounds despite admitting to a bureaucratic mistake. Rare mix-ups can and do happen when millions are being deported quickly. Facts remain she should remain deported, the same with Kilmara Garcia. President Trump ensured U.S. benefits serve U.S. citizens by protecting more than $40 billion in benefits programs. He is the savior of our health care. In 2015, Barack Obama gave Tom Homan the Presidential Award for making America safer by deporting illegal aliens. 11 years later, Democrats hate him for doing the exact same thing. That tells you everything about how far left today's Democrat Party has gone. In 2010, President Obama shot down the whole stop deportations and just let the illegal immigrants be argument that the Democrat Party is currently pushing today. That one Army vet who got deported, it happened for a reason. His application was just never processed for unknown reasons, leading to such incidents. His name was Barco, and in October of 2009, Barco was sentenced to 52 years after being convicted of firing a gun at a house party in Colorado Springs, injuring a woman who was suffering from PTSD. Barco was released on parole this January after serving 15 years due to good behavior. Upon release, ICE detained Barco and took him to a detention center in Colorado. In September, an immigration judge denied Barco's relief appeals, which included an application for asylum, and ordered the veteran's removal from the U.S. without specifying a date. His defense team and supporters argued for his right to remain in the U.S. based on military service, etc. Again, when millions are being deported quickly, rare instances and mishaps can occur. It does not make the deportation effort racist nor fascist, and saying no to securing our borders and defending America and saying no to deportations are acts of war. At RetSTGC on Threads wrote, "I'm an immigrant. I came to this great country over 60 years ago legally. I learned to speak English. I studied the U.S. Constitution, United States history, and the Bill of Rights. I took a test written in English, not oral. I stood before a judge and swore an oath to this country. I served 20 years in the U.S. military. Those who are in this country illegally are a mockery to me," she said, "and others like me. Go back to your country of origin and come back legally," she said. They said facts. Legal immigrants know and support the deportation efforts, and majority of Latinos ending birthright citizenship or just solely is good. It addresses issues like illegal border crossings where someone enters, gives birth, and the child automatically becomes a U.S. citizen. This encourages immigration, strains public resources, and poses security risks as non-citizens game the system. The 14th Amendment, which grants citizenship to those born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, was primarily designed to ensure citizenship for former slaves and their descendants, not to guarantee automatic citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. Legal scholars argue subject to jurisdiction excludes those not fully under U.S. law. It aligns with stricter policies in other nations, reduces birth tourism, and is a reasonable step to control immigration without violating constitutional intent. Indigenous birthright citizenship remains intact, with no legislative or executive action under Trump targeting it. Comparing this to Nazi apartheid or Israel policies is a baseless hyperbole. No such laws exist or are proposed in the U.S. Trump's immigration policies, again, doing away with the fact that you can just come over the border and for a second have a baby and they're a citizen. We're not doing away with the entire constitutional right. Trump's immigration policies, like border security and merit-based reform, aim to enforce existing laws, not to create racial or ethnic hierarchies. It originally applied to slaves, not illegal immigrants who come over for a second, give birth, and boom, immediately their kid's a legal U.S. citizen. Nah, honestly, screw anyone against doing away with it. Being illegal is not a constitutional right. If we know they are illegal, they go, period. Most can be looked into for 5 seconds to find out they are legal U.S. citizens like myself. There are easily findable mountains of evidence. For now, take care.